the call to order and the virtual statement. So good morning. Due to the pandemic, all members of the Downtown Winston-Salem Business Improvement District Advisory Committee are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, committee members will be muted until asked to be heard. At that time, they will be recognized and will be unmuted. When there is a vote, it will be necessary to take a roll call vote. A committee member will be recognized and will raise their hand and verbally state their vote. Today's meeting is a public meeting. Per the notice posted, citizens can listen to the meeting if they contacted city staff to make the necessary arrangements. The meeting can be accessed by the City of Winston-Salem's YouTube page. So, and then I think it might be easier if we just do roll call as part of the motion to approve the minutes. So if someone wants to make a motion of the minutes.
Meredith, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Shannon.
I'll second the motion.
All right, thank you, Chad. And I will do a roll call. Tony Brett. Kelly Brown.
Present.
Mike Cashin.
I'm here.
Chad Sheep.
I'm here.
Rodney Davis. Lauren Desai. Vivian Joyner. Shannon Meyer.
Present.
And Charles Wilson. All right. Thank you all. Okay, just for the city updates as far as some downtown projects and whatnot, the main projects still taking place are the conversion projects. For the Liberty Main, we are currently working on the contract for tree removal that's related to the Duke pole relocation and replacement. So that's kind of where we stand right now with Liberty and Main. With the 1st and 2nd Street conversion, the pole foundation work continues, and we're hoping for that portion of the project to be complete in June, so then we can move to the next phase of that project. I know Jason has quite a few updates with what's going on downtown as far as other projects, so I'll hand it over to him.
Hello, everyone. I will need to share my screen here for a second. Let's see here.
You should be good to go, Jason.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. I know that you guys are enjoying a beautiful morning. Hopefully it doesn't rain later today, but we can actually use some rain. Always good to have rain for the plants downtown. But I wanted to show you a couple of things and then end up with the draft budget for consideration. The first thing is on the screen, we have a downtown plan that was approved in 2013. Much of the plan has been implemented, and in order to meet our schedule for adoption in 2023, which is next year, we need to start the process. And so that process has started, and you've probably seen an online survey, and I'll go to that in a second. The logistics of and this is an overview of the process. I'll be very brief about it, but this would be a collaboration between the Downtown Partnership, our planning committee, the city county planning board, and the public, hopefully. And we've had a very good response to the survey with over 1,200 responses so far, and we'd like to have more. The survey closes on May 3rd. We do been doing some fundraising for the plan. And if you look at the past plan, it's a very graphic document, one that is something that people will take the time to read and review. And oftentimes plans in the past have been black and white pieces of paper like this slide, and generally don't intrigue a lot of interest or intrigue to someone. The one thing that I will share is that it's a composite plan, meaning that we don't try to plan for areas that are outside of the core of downtown. What we do is we include them in the way that the area plans for those areas have been done to create a composite plan. And we try to make sure that what we strive to do is to enhance connectivity between surrounding areas, such as roadway networks, pedestrian paths, streetscaping, and those are things that are important. The scope of the plan is all the land use and other typical land use planning that we would get involved in. The finished product would be graphically dynamic, attractive, and largely be used as a marketing tool and public policy guide. In other words, one of the things that we know is that resources are limited and finite, and that we need to have consensus on where we want to go for the future in downtown Winston-Salem. And this important tool helps us not only take the time to gather feedback and input, but gather consensus and support. And it's really interesting how much things have changed since the last downtown plan update. I think I'll share with you some of the just general comments that I think that people are just generally speaking. I think it's fair to say that I don't think any of these would be terribly surprising, but some of the topics in the survey, and the survey will be done May 3rd, and we can provide a detailed analysis of it after it's completed at our next meeting. I think clearly affordable housing, more robust park system, more parking, things like parks for children and families, and other resources like retail was a pretty strong answer. And I think we're not alone. A lot of these things are pretty similar to what other downtowns are hearing. And so I think that's helpful. The process is we're starting now. In the fall, the public meetings, late summer, fall, we'll have larger public meetings. In the summer, we'll start to do development and refinement. And then the summer of next year, the approval process. The districts last time are located here. And as we move into this, since the plan, I wanted to show you guys. In 2013, we didn't have the downtown bid district, for instance. That was a big one that came out of the plan. The other one was we had about 2,000 total housing units in downtown. As of the plan, we'll be well over 5,000 when the plan will be adopted, and probably, projected and announced to be more than that. So that's a pretty significant. When you look at the graph, you can see that the graph's going to be all the way up here. And so pretty significant growth. We included implementations and recommendations schedule, specific land use recommendations. And if people want to look at the plan, it's on our downtown website at downtownws.org, which I do want to share with you. I'm going to bring that over into this screen. Do you see our website now?
No, Jason, we're still seeing proposed land use.
Okay, let me share this screen then. Thank you, Shan. All right, now you should be seeing our website. If you come to our website, the first thing that comes up is our survey. I've already taken the survey, but if you go to it, this is where it'll take you to. The downtown plan is something that I'll share with you a little bit later, but I did want to share with you some other things we're working on. For instance, under partnering, we have current projects. And so we're working on identifying all the current real estate projects updated. And so if you go through each of these and you click on, for instance, the Forsyth County Courthouse, you can click on that. Picture will come up, the location, and then a description with more links. And so I wanted to just share that development with you guys. That's something as a resource that we've been working on. We always have downloadable maps. Our restaurant map. We update these quarterly. It's amazing. It's hard to map them all at some point, but we have things like our pedestrian map. This map is the one that goes on the orange kiosk maps all around downtown. I was just in Nashville, Tennessee over the weekend, and the person that helped us design these pedestrian maps did them for Nashville. And while we probably have about 70 of them here in downtown Winston-Salem, I think they have 500 in downtown Nashville. So if you ever get a chance to go to downtown Nashville, their large green and brown vehicular signage, wayfinding signage system, and these smaller kiosk maps, they're like our sister city on wayfinding signage. They have all the same signage that we do. So I thought that just a fun little trivia fact you guys might want to know about. Anyhow, the other thing that I wanted to share with you is that we do keep a listing of real estate options downtown. These are the apartment listings, and we share this with people, but we get a lot of traffic for people that are working through wanting to live somewhere or find a place to move a business to. So we also have commercial listings, storefront listings, and this is a very nice resource. So instead of somebody having to go to the 6 or 7 or 8 real estate brokers, and this is something that we also feature in our weekly newsletter. It's something that you guys should see is 1 real estate listing per week. And that's certainly appreciated and gets a good amount of traffic. Finally, I'm going to show you the budget.
Jason, before you jump into the budget, I'll just preface it to the group that we did see the projections for the proposed budget that Jason's going to present. They bounced back to where they were about 2 years ago, which was very good to see and to realize. And so we're very hopeful that these numbers stay there when we receive our May estimates. But we were very excited to see our numbers bounce back for our full budget to be realized where it was 2 years ago.
Okay, so this should show you kind of the numbers in that regard. Total budget for use and spending was $565,886 in the current fiscal year, and the projected preliminary draft is up to $631. So that's a pretty significant increase. What we did is we thought that the split last year, the proportionate split, is generally what we try to apply generally each year across the board. And so what we're talking about, we did have to make some changes to the clean team contract, which we'll look at again for this year. But most of the services there, if anything, it's something that keeps us very full of time. Our clean team is, I really want to say how much and recognize how much they work and how much I appreciate their efforts. And I spend a lot of time letting them know that, and working with our clean team manager, Mr. Emmanuel Rodriguez, which I'll bring to our next meeting. I think he's a really fine person who communicates well with our business and property owners and citizens downtown. And I think he does a great job with the team that he has assembled. We had some snow this year, and he was always on point, coordinating that and working hard. And we've also had, they go through the job and essentially clean up downtown every day. It's like, in some ways, the seasons change. Like we have a lot of pollen right now, which actually sticks to a lot of things, and they have to blow that off, but they also pick up a lot of trash. But they have a leaf season and a snow season, and generally a lot of debris from events, and they do a great job. And I wanted to make sure I took a few minutes to acknowledge that, and I appreciate them very much. One of the big events that we're planning for this year is the National Black Theater Festival is in town this year in late July, early August. And so that's something that as we're going to be receiving visitors from all over the country and the world, that we want to make sure that we're making everything look as good as possible for our visitors. We're going to be, and that's really the goal that we have most days, all days really. And but a few of the new things that I wanted to point out this year is an accelerated development, the downtown plan and the state of downtown report. The state of downtown is a document that I've seen many of our peers, and I think it would be good for our annual meeting, which will be coming up in September. The Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership always had its annual meeting in February, and that was a result of our fiscal year for many years ending on December 31st of each year. But about 5 years ago, we shifted it to be similar to the cities, which ends June 30th. And so with that in mind, it would be a lot more administratively effective for us to have an annual meeting at the end of our fiscal year, right after the end of the fiscal year. So we're going to have our annual meeting in September, October this year. And during that meeting, we would like to have it as a State of the Downtown report, and that'll be the focus of the annual meeting. And so that's something that will provide details on benchmarks on the progress and status of downtown, identifying some of our accomplishments and things that we need to improve. And the other thing that we would do is participate in some funding for the downtown plan update. So going through that, I think I'll just leave the budget in its current form and let you guys ask any questions or make any comments or answer any questions.
Jason, I have one question for you. It's Kelly. With the development of the new downtown plan and just the way that downtown has expanded, is there any conversation happening about realigning the bid district or expanding it?
As a matter of fact, there hasn't been a lot of conversation except amongst myself. And I think it's probably normal. Like I actually put on my task that there are some areas that would make sense, in particular north. We have part of the bid district north of Martin Luther King around the Ramcat up the 9th Street. But the development of the new residential apartments north of MLK, the Artro project, would be an obvious expansion to me, because we're already on the other side of Martin Luther King. It might be a little bit different if, so I think that's one area that we would definitely want to look at. Were you thinking of any other areas that would, Kelly, that would be?
Well, just the little no man's land that's right behind us, that block really, on Church Street, and then down 4th to I guess what's the next street down there, but
towards IQ.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What I'll do then, Kelly, is at our next meeting, I'll look at and have a map of the existing boundaries. There is, and this isn't something that's well known by people, but there is already a bid district in the IQ, but it's not really active. But it would prohibit expansion overlapping it, I would imagine. So I'll show that where that is. and where there might be some areas for expansion. One of the areas I need to look at is the link on 4th Street. We have had them call about some trash that's been accumulating in the area along the railroad tracks and other areas. And it's never great when you have to say, you know, it's out of our service area, but there's a need. And, you know, so it, would that be helpful? Would that be okay?
Yeah,
Jason.
I think,
Sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jason, of course, I have an interest in the link or innovation quarter area because of our link development there.
Yeah, and I think what I can do is, you know, it does take there's some statute, and there is a process that goes through where expansion is by state statute is, and quite frankly, off the top of my head, I know you can expand a bid district, but it's not necessarily like just an act of the city council. It requires public notice. It requires feedback from the newly integrated property owners who may be opposed to it. And
I'll bring it to our next meeting, Jason. I'll do some research to note the steps to potentially expand the district and what would be required to do that.
yeah, it's yeah, I had been reluctant to really open that box, but the Artro project and the other expansion of residential areas makes it worthwhile. You know, another conversation that's probably, I don't know if now's the time, but at some point in time, the area around Burke Street and all of the residential development, it's obvious that what happened in the core of downtown is that we had a lot of trash that was accumulating every day. The services that the city provided were at a baseline just inadequate. The city didn't have the ability to provide beyond baseline services that they wouldn't provide throughout the city. And so that's when the bid conversation accelerated, and, you know, the process took time to build support for, because in essence, it is an additional tax that's levied to the property owners within the district. While it's modest, it is still something that people don't necessarily line up to until they see the benefits. And I think that this will be different because we have a long-standing track record of good progress and here in downtown with the bid. So I think maybe it'll be different, but we'll see. But I'm glad you brought it up, Kelly.
Jason, I do think it would be interesting to see if the innovation quarter has a bid, where the boundaries are, if they touch or if there's gaps.
Yeah, I will. I'll get that to everybody. And they do have a bid. It was approved right before ours, and it was a lot less onerous for them because they all have, you know, basically a consensus property owner. So they didn't have all the public meetings and conversations necessarily that we did, but still, nonetheless, it does give them the ability to do other things. The bid does give them, if they don't use it for taxation, they can use it for other benefits, and that's why I believe they use it. And I think they are able to do most of the other funding for security and cleanup through other means.
Yeah.
I know on our side, on the Link Innovation Quarter side, we are part of the North District Association, and they're the ones who do the extra security and just policing of the area.
All right. Any other comments, questions? All right.
One question.
Yes, sir.
The budget that Jason presented, does that require any action?
I was going to say, we do need to approve the budget just so the manager can include that in the city's overall proposed budget that city council will review. So I'll take a motion.
And well, let me ask you one more, Meredith, because
Yes, sir.
do we have a quorum?
We do. Yes, sir.
Okay, well then I would move to approve the proposed budget.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. And I will do a quick roll call just to approve that. So Tony Brett,
In favor?
Kelly Brown,
Approved.
Mike Cashin,
Approved.
Chad Cheek,
Approve.
Rodney Davis, Lauren Desai, Vivian Joyner, Shannon Meyer,
Approve.
and Charles Wilson. I appreciate that. And as we move forward, if you all have, we're hoping that we actually, since council did provide some additional funding for us this year that actually helped with snow removal in January, we're hoping that we may be adding a little bit to our fund balance for future years for any potential projects. I know prior to me joining you all, you worked on parking deck projects. You worked on the kind of the Passway Park. So any projects that you have in mind that you think would be beneficial, please feel free to send those to Jason and I, and we can look into those for future budgets.
Meredith,
Yes, sir.
I could probably do this offline, but I wanted to ask you, because we may not talk for a few days, but we have some A-frame signs that advertise the $2 parking for evenings and weekends at the Six Cherry Trade Deck.
Mhm.
And would you encourage the parking division to put those out frequently as part of their daily task? Because I think, parking's become a premium. And I think if we have those signs out, it's likely that more people may become aware of the cheaper parking alternatives when the on-street parking is at capacity.
I'll talk to our DOT folks about that.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me know.
So, Jason, I'm curious, can you say that again? What is the price for parking weekends after hours?
Yeah, so there's 2 parking decks that are city-owned, and it's the one that's the Center City East deck that is near the Bailey Power Plant and behind Kelly's hotel at the Cardinal.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the one near the Convention Center, and it is the Six Cherry Trade Deck. And so every day after 5:30, you can park there for $2 as long as you want.
Okay.
And then on the weekends, you can park there all day for 2 hours. And what happens is, it's also the parking deck that we went through and made significant. A lot of people, we took out the incandescent lighting and put in LED lighting, which provides a much brighter, cleaner atmosphere. As we put, and it was a project where we split the funds between the city and the bid district, which is what Meredith was talking about. The reserve funds can go to, it's like a mini improvement project, and that wouldn't be feasible in the normal budget. But if we have funds that build up, let's say maybe like $50,000 or $60,000, we could do something. If the city matches it or some other grant funding matches it, we could do a project that would, while not be necessarily like a capital improvement project, it's kind of what we call a mini capital improvement project. But we did a lot of other things in the parking deck, like we painted each floor with a unique color scheme and added glass doors to the exit so that you could see what was on the other side of you. That was something that people had asked for. So you could see both ways, both in and out. Other safety improvements, cameras.
Thank you for recapping that.
Yeah, it's part of this challenge is getting people to want to use parking decks. It's not their first choice. Some people just don't feel comfortable doing it. We understand that, but They really are very convenient though. If you park near the stairwell, you can be down the stairwell and right on the street, very quickly. And now I go straight to the parking deck if I see there's not any on-street parking. So it's just a matter of, it's easier to do that than to, drive around for half an hour.
I agree with you, and I understand people not wanting to park in the decks, having to private decks in the downtown area. I certainly would like to encourage people to park in those decks.
The IQ deck behind the link for a while, and it still may have the first half hour free. Is it still like that?
It's the first hour is free.
First hour?
Yes. Uh-huh.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking about the public parking decks, is because, I might want to suggest to the company that manages our decks to do some kind of competitive rate after hours and on the weekends, to encourage more people to park in those areas. And our decks don't necessarily compete with the two public decks. So I think, just getting people in the mindset that it's safe to park in the parking decks would be a good thing for the public and bringing more people downtown.
Yeah, it's become an issue, in particular on the private side. Many of the privately owned parking decks have gone towards a private system, and that's been well written about. And but it's a sign of there's a lot more people visiting downtown, and parking is a premium.
All right. Anyone else has any questions? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you all. I greatly appreciate you meeting, and let us know if you need anything.
Thanks, Meredith.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
guys.